Come on up with somebody. I'm done with numbers. I'm a cop.
You go out and catch the bad guys.
It's
Let the experts do
space.
it.
It's what?
It's a modest amount of space, but it's about $100 a square foot. That's about the cost we had on the remodel of the first phase. So the other things to remember that are different from phase one is that the evidence processing and evidence storage are highly technical spaces. The evidence processing space is lab-like space. It's exhausted, it's chemical laden, there are finishes that are resistant to the effects of chemicals in those environments. There are evidence pass-through lockers that are technical, law enforcement specific products that aren't typical in the first phase. So while the space may be smaller, it's not outrageously costly in comparison, and there are specific technical requirements that start to drive those costs.
But I mean, this isn't a lab, it's evidence storage.
But it's also evidence processing. So evidence processing is lab-like space.
Okay.
So again, finishes are higher, effects of making sure that people can't get into the space, so access control and the like are highly technical spaces, and they are disproportionately more impactful in a small area than they are spread out over a large area.
I mean, and nobody can get in, it's a police station, who could get it? I mean, shouldn't there already be access control? I don't, you know. What is the difference between an existing squad and roll call?
Roll call, squad room is, think about it as a report writing area, roll call is a meeting room. They're two different spaces. So at shift change, when officers are coming in or being ready for their specific task, in the other room, that's where people are finishing up their duties for the day. That's where they are making calls, phone calls, writing reports. Roll call is a specific meeting room that's for tasking out the officers for that function on that shift.
Well, I guess just, you know, but from my perspective, I know that this is definitely cheaper than if we had to build a new construction. However, you know, the budget number that I think we had been given was after phase one would be about between 8 and 900,000. So to hear, oh no, we really need 2 million is a little bit, you know.
No, I'm not looking at the paper, but I'm going to the November column where we had greens and grays.
Well, if I could just finish.
Sure.
So that's a little bit of a, you know, shocking number. But, and I think the question is, are there ways to get us closer to the budget that we were originally told?
And I'll go back to that sheet. We had forecast $3.8 million irrespective of the purchase of the project site. So the remodeling of the building without the acquisition was 3.8. As the design matured, Riley forecast that at about 3.6. So if we take 900,000 out and whatever this is, 875, that leaves about 1.4 for the garage and about $500,000, give or take, for the community room. I think they're actually consistent.
I had thought, and I went back and looked at the presentation that we received numerous times in 2016, and those numbers were, like I said, maybe I'm misremembering, but I remember $1 million phase one and between 8 and 900,000 for phase two, and phase three was the community room, and we weren't really sure. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I can go back and pull that up.
I think with the confusion here, I totally agree with you. These are the numbers that you probably presented on paper. I think the confusion for us is we have had a lot of voting on the project budget, and so it gets confusing when you don't remember when you took action, when you didn't on a budget number. And so I think what Trustee mentions is saying is what we took action on, actual formal action, was the number she's quoting. Were we updated? Absolutely. I just don't know if it registered at that time. I don't know if there was action. I'd have to go back and look at the tape. So I think there's just that it was not presented, and I can understand it's here. It's just, I don't remember taking formal action on an increased budget. Or at least knowing that it went on.
Yeah, I understand, nothing's been, we've done what we've.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that the discussion needs to be moving forward, is how do you want to approach the next couple phases? And I think to stay within, I think where you guys are comfortable with, is to finish the office space and to do, and the evidence and the roll call and do those things. Shore up some of the, I think, what needs to be done in the roof, if you're having some leaks. And then reapproach it and see what we want to do with those rooms in the back end of that building. So that's the way that I look at it. And we talked about this in December, about what we thought the project was going to be. And understand the numbers that we had back when Zimmerman did that were just, I don't know, no offense to John, but I don't think he had been in the building. So those were numbers that we were working off if we hadn't purchased the building. Once we purchased the building and we went in there and we had the construction guys come in, that's why we updated you in December. So nothing, I mean, yeah, I think there's a difference in what we thought was going to cost us to get this done and what it actually could cost us to get this done. But I think it's open to discuss. I mean, you guys set forth what moves forward. We did the 3.5 with what we were to do, and keep in mind, this was not supposed to come back to 2020, so you're catching all of us off guard a little bit, right? I mean, we were trying to finish the project. We weren't even thinking about the next phase.
I don't even remember moving it up.
Yeah, well, it got moved up. So, and so that being said, though, I think, well, if we did do that, we finish off the office space of that. And I know that 2.6, I still think it can be done for cheaper. Just based upon my feeling of, and you talk about the other space. I mean, I don't want to shortchange it, but I think if you look at the master plan, to what the plan is today, we took out 10, 20 doors, we took out a lot of stuff to make this smaller. So if you look at the two plans that we presented there, they're much more simplified than what we are trying to do. So I still think we could shrink those costs. Go ahead.
So this makes total sense. When I was looking at it, I just realized that we just basically spent the money and without building a community room. Because what I have here is, with the community room, we're going to be at 6.5. I just remember $5.5 million, including acquisition costs. So I was on committee, I was at the public safety committee. I think that's why my recollection might be different, but that's just what I remember.
That's not what's here.
I understand.
Yeah.
So anyways, now we're up to 6.5. So I want to thank you, Chief, for laying this out for us and to the consultants. And now I guess it's our decision of what do we do for the
What's
next
in our
phase?
long-range financial plan?
That's different than what they're, saying, so
Okay, but
I understand.
the long-range financial plan is 875.
Correct. I think you put 875 in plus 600,000 for the community room.
Well, then we took that out, though.
Okay. So I think what we're talking here is that we did the 875, which is consistent with what your anticipation of the long-range financials were, and we do what we can for the office space in phase 2. And then we can reconvene.
You said 875. Complete the sentence. 875 for what?
To complete the office space
In the green
in the
area?
green.
For 692.
Correct. And do the roof would be my suggestion. And then we can come back, reconvene, figure out what we want to do with the green space, the rest of the green space in the community. And the cost of that community room depends on what you decide to do down the road. I mean, if you make it truly a room without a kitchen or anything, it's cheap, right? So, but if you want to do some of those things, then
Can I ask a question, maybe try to clarify this a bit? I think originally the trustees asked 2 questions of the chief. Number 1 is you wanted an update report, an as-built report on phase 1, and you wanted to be able to reconcile that number with the budget that you approved along with your bids back in March. I think this document pretty effectively does that, and there's an updated table here dated October 5th, was it? October 9th, thank you, that shows and breaks down all the costs as built compared to what you approved back in March, and it shows that phase one indeed stuck to the budget. So far, you've spent the $2.5 million to acquire the site, $975,000 to get phase one built. And I think we're pretty solid on that. We've got the construction manager here if you have any specific questions about how phase one is completed. As you just heard, when we move beyond that, things are not quite ready for prime time. I can tell you that this whole part of the presentation is a complete surprise to me tonight. We talked about a completely different plan up through Wednesday of last week. That has changed significantly. We're looking at a $700,000 interior build-out for some office space, and I realize we've got these investigatory labs and evidence processing spaces, which are a little more expensive to build than just pure office space. But I think I would suggest for tonight, we've answered question one clearly. We have 3 weeks until your next meeting. Gives us an opportunity to sit down and, number one, define specifically the space, that is now the new phase two. Okay, and it appears that the garage is going to be a phase three or a space for future development, defining and put together a real budget for the new phase two, showing the offices. I think before you go a lot further in the building, you need to do the roof, okay? You've got a lot of money invested here now. We've got to get the roof done to protect the entire space, so that's critical to get that done in the next phase. As far as timing goes, the chief's concerned about doing it in 18. I was the one that actually asked it to be put in the CIP because this discussion tonight is exactly what happens when you want to do a building project and you piecemeal it. Okay, this is exactly what happens. And if you think this is bad tonight, you come back here in 2020, 2.5 years, and you're going to be sitting here looking at mission creep and price creeps that are way, way out beyond where they are tonight.
Larry, what's this?
So if you can get this thing organized and get it built so that it's usable, the police station is complete. You know, the garage isn't essential. That can wait a while. That might be that 2021 project. The community room is not essential. It's not even integral to the operation of the police department. So that's something that you can make a decision on in the future as to what you want to do with that space. So does that make some sense that we could get this back in 3 weeks with some flesh on the bones and a specific plan, a specific budget? I think then you have something you do review.
Sure, for budget purposes that we're adopting.
That's correct, because you're going to be adopting the budget 2 weeks after that at your second meeting in November. And this is, I think, as I understand it, the biggest piece of the capital spending plan for 2018 that you still have questions about.
This is not level, this is bonded. So it's
Yeah,
not
this
level.
is one of the bonded projects that's in your capital budget for 2018.
I think that's a good idea. I think that we've raised a lot of questions and it'll give you a chance to get, this stuff organized.
You got question one answered.
I do-
Question two isn't
Yeah.
ready yet. In 3 weeks, we'll get it ready.
I just have one question. Because we, every time we're done with something, it comes back and we need to do something else right away, like now the roof and what are the drawbacks of not doing the garage for, say, 5 years, 10 years? In case we push that phase out to lessen just in case, I just want to know if there are, what's going to come to us after we're done with phase two, and then we need to do phase three right away. What might come to us?
I think that's mostly an operational question. The chief currently doesn't have garage space. So the lack of garage space going forward is zero sum game. It's pretty much where you're at now, just in a different place. The exposure that exists by delay is one of inflation and other market conditions, which we would be hard pressed to answer for you. Historically, 3 to 5%. But market timing is important. So were we buying this building out in 2009, obviously costs would be affected by a substantial mortgage construction market. Markets heat up and markets change, but inflation will be the primary issue that you.
Which is with all our chemical
It's
stuff.
with, it's with everything.
We have a budget, we have a budget.
Are we heating that space that's not being used as garage space a little bit? Are we wasting any energy there?
You're probably heating it, you may not be conditioning, but you're not, it's occupiable storage space, it's just not high-quality occupiable human space, right? So you can store things in it, but it's not functional office space.
I know it's
Warehouse
not,
space.
I'm just wondering, is it functional money going out the window?
No,
Here's my question.
there's 3 sections back there currently. So we have the storage area where we're using for storage and for evidence workup room. And that is only heated and it's set at like 55, so it doesn't cool. And then the other area is not, in the middle was evidences, is that heat, computer? Yeah, is that just heated, right?
Yep.
No air in that, just heated, but again, at a below temperature. And that other area where the detectives are, that's being controlled, right? So for the most part, it's not, excessive, it's just keeping it so it doesn't freeze or get too hot.
Thank you.